Hey guys, welcome to the Design Your Physician Life podcast brought to you by our Max Salary Mastermind, an entrepreneurial program for physicians. Today, we're going to be talking about creative ways to increase revenue in your medical practice with Matthew Gillogly. Are you ready? Let's go.
Welcome to the Design Your Physician Life podcast, where you will get excited about being a physician, learn the tools that can help boost your success, and great tips from successful doctors. Join us to unlock the keys to an amazing physician life. And now, here's your host, Dr. Myrdalis Diaz-Ramirez.
Hey guys, I'm very excited today. I have here Matthew Gillogly. He was exposed to the world of cash medical services in mid-2013. And then by 2014, he launched the Carolina Men's Clinic, where he was the general managing partner and CEO of the Carolinas' #1 provider of men's sexual health solutions, specifically erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation, and penile enhancement with low testosterone as well. He started and grew the company from a startup from up to 3 locations in 3 cities in 18 months, doing $6.5 million a year. He sold his interest in the locations in 2017, and today he owns interest in other practices nationwide. He keeps doing money for his practices, but besides that, more importantly, why is he here today? Because he's the author of The Anatomy of a 7-Figure Medical Practice. He has a wonderful podcast where he helps physicians who want to learn how to grow their cash-based practice. So thank you for being here, Matthew.
You got it, Myrdalis. I'm looking forward to this. We've been trying to set this up for a long time, right?
I know.
Between your schedule and my schedule, between all the conferences and everything. So this is great. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm very excited. I've listened to most of your podcasts. I'm I devoured it, and also your book. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
The books and your career in medicine came later in life for you. Before that, and you're not a physician. We usually have physicians here, but today with you, we really have to explain to physicians why we need people like you. Before we get to that point, tell us about your the earlier days of Matthew Gillogly.
So I wound up in, as the bio says, I wound up in medicine by accident. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 16 years old. And my first business was a side hustle car wash that we washed and waxed cars and shined the shoes of members of the country club where I was working in the bag room. But I wound up in medicine by accident. I was traveling with a friend of mine. He had been involved in erectile dysfunction clinics, and he really encouraged me to get involved. And I went and took a look at one in August in Birmingham, Alabama. And within 30 minutes, I turned to him and I said, I'm in, because it was like the greatest thing in the world. So back then, patients came in, they met with the doctor, they got an injection in the base of the penis. It was a vasodilator, Trimix, and they would get an erection in the office in 10 to 12 minutes without any stimulation. And if you have a guy that he has failed using pills, potions, pumps, and porn, and now he has a hard-on, the only reason why they don't buy is they don't have somebody to use it with, or they don't have any money. That's it, right? So I literally took my background in direct response marketing, and we grew this thing to insane numbers. And it was a blast. I loved it. Of all the businesses I've owned, I really, really, really enjoyed the heck out of that one. It was probably the most fun I've ever had in a business in my life.
Just from a clinical point of view, not, knowing that you're not a physician, can you tell us what the youngest and what the oldest patients were for those practices?
Yeah. So, and for the record, I always tell people this. So I was not doing the injections, right? So the doctor owned the medical practice. We followed the corporate practice of medicine. We owned the management company. Management company made all the business decisions. The doctor made all the medical decisions. So I want to be really clear about that. We were operating well within the confines of the law. So the youngest patient I ever had, I think, was 25 or 26. And he had been in a pretty dramatic boating accident or car accident, I think, something like that. I don't remember all the details. And so he had some neurological damage. And so, we were able to get him to perform. I think his mother actually brought him in because he had found a woman and she was kind of really happy that she had found somebody. We dealt with a lot of military people as well, a lot of people dealing with PTSD. and just kind of the impact, because our clinic in Raleigh was about, 75 minutes from Fayetteville, which is otherwise known as Vietnam, home of the military. There's a massive military deployment center there. The oldest we ever had, mid 90s. And the best part about him is he had 3 girlfriends. So
Was he a Mormon?
no, he was not. No, he was 95 years old. Wife had passed away. He had done very well owning a number of businesses.
Did he travel from the villages from Florida to
No.
Carolina
But
to get
he
his
did have
treatment?
he had a girlfriend down in Miami. He had a girlfriend in Charlotte, and he said, I have a girlfriend halfway in between. So he wanted to make sure that he could handle them all. And he goes, and I got a lot of other women, 80-year-old women that want to sleep with me. I'm like, okay, you go right ahead. So yeah, he was one of my favorite clients. I've got stories. My lawyer wants me to write a sitcom on it. Like, I have more. We could stay here for 10 hours and I could tell you story after story.
Well, that doesn't surprise me coming from the family I come from. My great-grandfather, he actually got married in his 90s. I think he was 94, between 94 and 96 when he got married again to a very young woman in her 70s, 20 years younger.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to consummate the marriage and she didn't want to. So he annulled the marriage because he really wanted to be. Yeah. And he was a romantic, poems and stuff like that. So I get it.
Yeah.
And okay, so those are the stories. Those are the patients there. And you became enamored with this practice because you were really making change for them. And then it was a good way of meeting also some other goals, right? For those doctors. Tell me about the life changes of those doctors when you came into their lives with this other system.
Yeah. So I quickly realized, our doctor, Dr. Hansen, really great doctor. I really enjoyed Hunter Hansen a lot, and very smart doctor, brilliant, quite frankly. And like a lot of the doctors that I meet, and even Hansen had an MBA. But again, it's like anything else. You can have an MBA, but if you don't utilize it on a daily basis, or you can have a medical skill, but if you don't utilize it on a daily basis, it's going to erode over time. And so I very quickly realized in my interaction with the doctors is not only did doctors not know anything about business, but their lack of understanding about business, basic business fundamentals, was impeding their ability to even know how to invest or know how to not. I find that doctors get taken advantage of. So the mission of our company is really simple, is to help doctors break free of the chains of insurance-based care so they can treat their patients as they wish and get paid what they're worth, right? So the simple part of this is I tell my doctors all the time, they'll come to me and say, oh man, I'm a horrible business person. I'm just a dumb doctor. And my answer to that is, you are not a dumb doctor. You are one of the smartest people. You are the smartest class of people in our society. I know of no other group in society that sacrifices as much as doctors do. You basically give up your 20s, right? You usually discover at a very early age that you want to be a doctor. So, your high school track is different. Your college track is different. You give up your 20s to go to med school and to go through residency. And you come out at the age of 32 with $500,000 in debt, and basically realizing that society is now going to crap on you for the next 35 years. Right. And so,
so you wish, right? So you hope.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so what I want to do is I tell them it's not your fault, because you had as many classes in business going through that timeline as I had classes in medicine, and I had 0. So on the flip side of that, I have spent my entire life since I was 16 years old, and I'm 55 at the time of this recording, is all I do is I study business and marketing and how to make money in business, right? I study human psychology. This is what I do. And I'm a lousy doctor. If we were in the woods and you got a gash, I could probably maybe stitch it up. Because of my wilderness training with Boy Scouts, I can set a femur if somebody's to put it in traction, to get them down the mountain. That's about it, right?
Or so you think too, right?
Yeah, I doubt I could do it. Yeah, I pray to God. I'd be like, oh, let's see, I've got to tie this here and tension that.
Blood.
I'm fine with the blood now. Back in the day, I was not, but I'm fine with the blood now. I've seen enough. But yeah, so it's first and foremost, I want everybody to listen to this. Just because you don't have this skill right now doesn't mean it can't be learned. Okay. if I can understand platelet counts and, we do a lot of work in regenerative and BMAC and anti-aging and functional medicine. Those are and medically guided weight loss, all the stuff that, just like your practice, I can carry on a conversation, but you don't want me treating your patient. And so I want you to get more comfortable with the understanding the basic fundamentals of business. And I'll share some of those basic fundamentals with you today. And it'll start you hopefully on a path to just feeling more confident. So.
And that's one of the important things. Like, it's important that we get surrounded by people who really know the things and we understand what our limits are. But we have to understand that it's possible as long as we educate ourselves. And if we surround ourselves with people who know more than us, they'll help us advance. But that's the first important thing. Like, okay, I don't know how to do this. Let's fail. No, it's not about going to fail. Like, let's get the knowledge. Let's get the experts. And tell us about, when you meet these doctors, besides, that, let's call it limiting belief. I don't know how to do this and I will never be good or never be able to do this. Which other things are you finding with physicians when they're coming to you and say, my business is failing. I don't know what else to do. I'm going, it's doomed. They said this was going to be easy and it's nothing but easy for me. What do you see? What other things are you seeing?
Yeah. So these are really common things. So when somebody comes to me here, generally what they're saying is, I started this practice. I've got the best procedure. Okay. That is usually the first thing that comes out. I'm highly trained. My patients that know me, really, I get great results for the few. I just need more patients coming in the door. And they're usually doing anywhere between $25,000 to $50,000 a month. Okay. And it can be that big of a range. One month they might do 50 thinking they've solved the problem. And then the next month they do 25 and they're ready to, cut their arms off. So the first thing is that you have to understand, and you just said this, is that you have to have somebody in your organization, either as a coach or a consultant like myself, or somebody in your organization who really, truly understands business. Okay. I couldn't run a successful medical practice unless I had Dr. Hansen, who became an expert at erectile dysfunction. The clinics that I own today, that I own a percentage of today, we have great doctors who understand medical care. Okay. So in my case, we partner with people that are excellent at what they do. And so you want to have a coach or a consultant or partner with somebody who is excellent in business. Okay. Because there's some basic fundamentals of business that the doctors violate right off the bat, which automatically set them up for failure, that they will never make it because they start from the wrong thought process of how to run a business.
So here we are. I'm a doctor. I say, Matthew, my practice is like this. And I go to you. What would be the first set of questions that you're going to ask me when you meet me?
Okay. So you have to understand that there's only 3 ways to grow any business. I don't care if it's Tesla Motors, an anti-aging clinic, or whatever, a dog grooming company, a supermarket. Businesses make money on a concept called margin. Okay. And margin, the concept of margin is like, if I'm running a restaurant and I charge $10 for a steak, I would never eat a $10 steak, but let's just use this example. I charge $10 for a steak. I have to have a 30% margin, cost of goods sold, in order for me to pay for all the other expenses that go on at that restaurant. So that means that $10 steak, I have to be able to buy for $3. Okay. And the remaining 70% isn't profit. The remaining 70% goes to pay for things like rent, lights, utilities, licensing, staff, all that stuff. Okay. So the first concept that doctors don't understand, that they need to understand, and this one concept will change your business. I'm going to give you something that if you go and you implement this tomorrow, your business will grow. I can guarantee it. Okay. And if it doesn't work, then just email my office and I'll send you a bottle of Silver Oak wine. Okay. Which is a very expensive bottle of red wine. And I've never shipped out a bottle of red wine for this. Okay. So here's the deal. It's concept of margin. So you have to look at what is the cost of doing that procedure. And then that cost can't be anything more than 25% of the retail price. So for example, let's say you're doing a PRP procedure and the cost of the kit, just the cost of the kit, not the cost of the nurse, not the cost of the machine, none of, you're not factoring in lease payments or anything like that. The cost can't be any higher than $250. Now, so that's the first concept. Okay. That's margin, the concept of margin. And I hear a lot of doctors going, oh, well, the kit cost me $300, so I charge $550 and I made $250. No, you lost about $500, which I'll explain why. So you have to, that's the fundamental thing I want you to understand. This is kind of the ground, the foundation, if you will. Then the three things that sit on top of that is all businesses grow as a function of there's only three ways to grow a business. You either need more new customers, which is the most expensive thing that you can do in your business. It is the most expensive, most frustrating thing in the world to do is to go out and get more new customers. Okay. The second thing you do is that you sell more to your existing client base. And the third thing is you get them to buy more from you, or you charge more. Okay. You increase prices. Okay. So those are the only three ways that you can grow a business. Now, the problem with this is that most doctors focus on the first one, and the last two are the fastest and easiest ways to grow any business. And I've been doing this for 25 years. I've done this where all I do is focus on the last two things, sell more to existing patients and charge more, make more revenue per transaction. I've been doing that for 20 plus years, and I've done it in 30 industries in 5 continents, and it always works. Okay. So, so I'll just kind of stop there and I'll let you ask some questions, and we'll just go wherever you want to take us.
Well, one of the things that I think as physicians, coming from an insurance-based world, the easiest thing is going to be to bring patients, because the insurances are dictating how much you're going to charge. Mm-hmm. And then within that train of thought, as physicians, we always are, there's that brainwashing that you are doing good for the world if you're not, raising prices and doing this type of thing. So that mentality, that mindset of the physician, it's going to be like, thinking that is more honorable if you're not charging for your time. Right. How do you work with that with the physicians when they're coming to you and telling you that?
Yeah, this is what we call limiting belief. Okay. And so the first thing I tell them is, have you ever watched Seinfeld? Are you a Seinfeld fan at all? Have you ever watched it?
I watch it, yes.
Okay.
And do you remember the episode? Soup man.
Yes. Okay. Do you remember the episode?
Soup for you.
No soup for you. That's what the insurance companies say to us. Okay. So the great thing about that is with Seinfeld, there's an episode where George Costanza decides to start doing everything opposite in his life. And so I think it's that he normally orders tuna salad on rye. And, he's like, I order the same thing every single day. And I don't have a job. I don't have any money, and I'm living in my parents' house. And so what he decides to do is he decides to turn things around, and he orders chicken salad, or I think is what it is, or whatever, tuna salad or whatever it is. And all of a sudden he sees a beautiful woman at the counter. And instead of lying to her about like what he does in life, he goes up to her and goes, "Hi, would you like to go out? My name's George. I'm unemployed and I live with my parents." And she's like, "Hi, God, you're so hot." Right. So I want you to remember that scene. There's a reason why I took 2 minutes to tell that story, because everything that you've learned in insurance, I want you to do the exact opposite now that you are in cash-based practice. Okay. You have to remember the insurance companies make $16 billion with a B dollars last year profit. Yet they cut reimbursement rates anywhere between 4.5% to 12.5%. And they raised insurance rates somewhere in the neighborhood of like 8 to 12%. Okay. So they're increasing their numbers, their revenues, they're cutting the reimbursement rate, and their profit margins continue to go up. Okay. So the insurance industry's job is not to take care of patients. The insurance industry's job is to not pay. That is their job. Every 30 days, if they keep money in that bank account, they make more money because they have it invested in things. Okay. And then their job is to screw with you, is to not pay you. And the reason why, and then to pay you less than what you bill. And the reason why that is they know that you don't know how to fight the system. Okay.
It's terrible because I remember during my insurance days where we were owners of those clinics, we were returning money to, like after a period of time, they would say, oops, that prior authorization that you worked so hard for, oh, we made a mistake on it and you have to return money. So it's not only about delaying payments, delaying care, keeping the money in the bank. It's also taking money even more away from that, and then dictating how much we're making per hour instead of us being the ones who, it's the only industry that I've ever seen that every year we get pay cuts forever.
Right. When was the last time your lawyer said, how about you buy 1 hour, I'll give you 2 hours free? Right? Never. Okay. When was the last time your lawyer said, hey, guess what? My rates have gone down this year? Never. When was the last time your CPA has said your rates have gone? When was the last time your pool guy said their rates are going down? Okay. And yet what doctors have done is doctors have bought into this false belief, this limiting belief that they're just dumb doctors. BS. When the zombie apocalypse hits, I want doctors on my team. Okay. Because not just because we're going to be able to care for people. And I'm joking about the zombie apocalypse, but when the end of the world hits, I want the doctors on my team because they are the best and the brightest of society. And if you can make it through organic chemistry or physiology or anatomy or whatever was the challenging thing, then you can learn the basic fundamentals of business. It has to start with you have to change your belief system. You are not a dumb doctor, and you can't sit there and say, well, I don't know jack about business. There are podcasts, there's videos, there's this thing called the internet, there's Amazon. You can buy basic books and start to understand the fundamentals of business. And then listening to this, and I'll give you I'll give you all the stuff, kind of the foundational stuff you need.
So let's start with the 3 ways of bringing, more revenue to your practice. You said first, which is the one that we were talking that we do in the insurance world, which is bringing more patients in. And still, if you're starting your practice, you have to do that, right? And there's a price for bringing your patients in, and that is important if you're a startup. So let's talk to the startup people right now who don't have the population yet to raise their prices or sell more to them. So with those, the basics, how much should it cost a physician on average to bring a patient in, and how is that achieved?
Okay. So I get asked this question all the time. How much should I spend? So here's my answer. If for every dollar that you spent, okay, you made $4 back. So if I put $1 into the gumball machine and the gumball machine spits out $4, here's my question to you, Myrdalis. How many times do you want to do that? You want to do it as many times as you possibly can, right? You would go out and you would leverage the cat, even if you don't own a cat, to go out and get more dollar bills to put into the gumball machine to kick back $4. Okay. So the answer to the question is not very good. The question is how much do I have to invest? See, marketing is not an expense. Marketing is an investment. Okay. And when it comes to generating so if I'm starting from ground zero, I'm leaving the hospital group. I have no patient base, right? And a lot of my doctors, they have an insurance-based practice, and they use that insurance-based practice to sell to their existing, to their cash practice. But let's just start with somebody that has zero. Okay. So we have a client in Cache Valley, Utah, and this is what they did. So and this is the same thing that a client of mine does in Washington, D.C. She sells laser hair removal to women of color. Cache Valley does functional medicine, anti-aging in Cache Valley, targeting the Mormon population. This is what my client in Phoenix that does an erectile dysfunction clinic in Phoenix, they all do this exact same thing. And all of them are within 60 to 90 days are doing $50,000 a month. Okay. The last place I want you to spend any money is Facebook. When the agency calls you and they say, we can guarantee you 30 appointments, 30 patients a month, run. Don't walk. Don't engage in a conversation. What most people don't realize is that the world that I come from, they teach people how to start marketing agencies. And the people that are starting those marketing agencies have almost zero experience in how to market. Okay. Facebook is the cheapest, has the least amount of intent and has the least likely to buy from you from a cold traffic standpoint. Okay. So you can use Facebook in an advanced strategy where you retarget people who've gone to your site. I'm not going to go into that because that's an advanced strategy, but do not, under any circumstances, hire an agency to run cold Facebook ads to your target prospect. You will go broke. Okay. I can guarantee it. I would never start my practices that way, ever. Okay. So the thing that you want to do is you actually have to, so with lead generation is the most complicated, complex, frustrating thing that you will ever do in your business. Okay. And I know this because I've done lead generation in 30 industries, right? Like lead generation is very, very hard. Okay. It's kind of like, learning organic chemistry, right? Like it's hard. All right. I always get a doctor. I didn't think organic chemistry was that hard. I'm like, it would be hard for me. Okay. It would be brutal for me. So you have to understand that marketing comes down to, you have paid traffic. Okay. Which is there's three key circles. There's paid traffic. Paid traffic can be mass media, TV, radio, internet, all that's anything that you pay money for, print, anything like that. You have this other component, which is what I call social proof, testimonials, reviews, all of those other things. But the other part is what we call dark social. And dark social is exactly that. It's things like a podcast. It's things like utilizing TikTok or Instagram. I will tell you right now, those three clients that I just told you about, all of them are building their business, believe it or not, just doing TikTok. They leverage TikTok. Dr. D. Fongood does $45,000 to $50,000 a month on TikTok alone. Okay. My gal in Cache Valley, Cassie Mulligan, $50,000 a month. She just had an $18,000 week last week. She is using, and when I say TikTok, it's TikTok. You also putting that same thing on YouTube, putting that same thing on Instagram, right? It's creating content because the way your prospect searches is that they search for a solution to their problem. And you have to understand that YouTube and all the video thing, YouTube alone is the number 2 search engine in the world. So you have to be leveraging all of that content. Now, again, I can't go into the heavy details of how to do that right now, but, and then what really is most important in that is the first concept of our stairway system that we go over in the book is the concept of the beachhead. You need to have one message to one market with one offer. Okay. Most doctors are like, oh yeah, we do that. Oh yeah. I could do ozone therapy. Oh yeah. I can do PRP. Oh yeah. I can do ED. Oh yeah. I got PRP. I can do an O shot, or I can, oh yeah. No, you have one message to one market with one offer. So in our case, we targeted men who have not only had erectile dysfunction, but we used to joke that had a 2-year failure cycle. They had tried pills, potions, pumps, and porn, and none of that had worked. Okay. And we targeted men who were like 45 plus in the Charlotte market. And we wanted men that made $75,000 to $100,000 at least a year. Okay. And what we found is that 85% of them were in monogamous relationships. Very few were players. Very few of them were single and divorced, right? Most of them were in committed single partner relationships. Okay. So we crafted all of our messaging. That was our market. We crafted all of our messaging about the problems that are going on in their head. And usually their problem is they try to go have sex with their partner. It doesn't. They take Viagra. It doesn't work, right? Or they try watching porn with their partner or something like that. It doesn't work. And what happens is she usually says something like, "That's okay, honey. We can try again this weekend." Okay. We actually ran an ad that started with, "That's okay, honey. We can try again this weekend." Right. And like that ad worked like crazy because that's the conversation that's going on in the prospect's head. So that's where you create your message. And then the offer that you make is, do not, under any circumstances, in any way, shape, or form, ever put your pricing for your services on the website. If you do, go delete the page right now. I don't care what anybody else has told you. Okay. I've been doing this for a long time. Do not place your pricing on the website. There is zero context for how they understand what is the value of that, which we'll talk about premium pricing in a minute, but do not put your pricing on there. I don't care what any manufacturer tells you. The manufacturer has never spent any of their own money and had to float payroll at a clinic and know what it's like. Okay. They don't know because they don't own clinics and they do not deal with the patient face-to-face. Their job is to sell you a machine. That's it. That is their sole job. Okay. And I have plenty of manufacturing friends, and I tell them this: do not tell them to put their pricing on the website. Okay. So when we focus on the beachhead, you've got to have one message to one market to one offer and one offer. So in our case, it was come to the clinic one time, meet with the doctor, get a test dose. If you don't see results within 12 minutes or less, you owe us nothing. That's our guarantee to you. The office visit was $97. So let me give you an example of an offer that we use in regenerative. Come to the clinic one time, meet with the doctor. If you don't like their diagnosis or their plan of or our recommendation of treatment, you owe us nothing. That's our guarantee to you. You do not make money on your office visit. The office visit will never make you money. Okay. Do not charge $800 for your office visit. Okay. Create like something where they can come in to get to know you a little bit, which will lead into the next component that we'll talk about here in just a minute about educate and excite. So I'll stop there. Any follow-up? I know I just went off, right? So I just went on a ramble, didn't I? So
well, it's a wonderful ramble. I'm not gonna complain about you rambling. Seriously, like it's so much information, good information. I do have a question about these 3 practices that you mentioned who are killing it on TikTok. Did they start with their content before they opened or right at the time that they opened? And are they buying, besides repurposing their information from TikTok to these other places, are they buying ads on TikTok?
No, they're not buying ads. They're doing it organic. A couple of pointers that I will give you. And if you wind up on our list, if you get our book, we're actually going to be doing a whole, and this is, I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm just letting you know, we're going to do a challenge where we're going to teach you some of the basic fundamentals of TikTok with Dr. D. Fungood, probably in the next, 30 to probably next 60 days. But the whole key is that you just run it on your personal TikTok. You do not want to open up a business TikTok. And you don't need to pay ads at all. So if you go to Dr. D. Fungood, Fohgod, I think is how you spell her last name. You'll see what she does. Cassie Mulligan's in Cache Valley. You can go see it. Dr. Mark Pietropoli, who is in Skinny Atlas. He's a regenerative medicine doctor. He's getting like 3,000 to 5,000 organic views within a week. He's in rural upstate New York. Okay. And these are views in his market. These are not views in Australia. Okay. These are views in his market. Mark just did $120,000 last month working 1.5 days a week in his regenerative practice.
Awesome.
So
that was great for people who are starting. Let's go to the people that you're working right now, your ideal client, because your ideal client is already making money. And there's something that we want to talk about, the premium pricing and how to build all that stuff. In your clients, they're already people who know some about entrepreneurship, they're making some money and they want to advance to the next level. So tell us about that client and the other 2 ways of increasing revenue to your practice, which are increasing pricing or selling more to them.
Yep. So this is the fastest and easiest way to grow any business. For those of you that are listening that have an insurance-based practice, what I'm going to share with you over the next 5 to 10 minutes is going to completely change your life. Okay. And I can say this because what I'm about to share with you is when we go in and we either invest in or quote unquote acquire a practice, what we do is we do exactly what I'm about ready to share with you. Okay. And we'll generally add, if a practice is doing $50,000 a month, we'll generally add $100,000. We'll get it to $100,000 within 30 days. Okay. And I've done this for non-partner clients. So in every part of the United States and Canada that you can think of. Okay. So if you have an insurance-based practice, there is 10% of your client base that is as frustrated with insurance-based care and the options that are provided to them as you are. Okay. So if you have 1,000 patient names in your patient database, you have 100 clients at a bare minimum who are willing to invest money in their health outside of what insurance offers because they're as frustrated. And I've done this with clients that have like 90% of the list is Medicare and Medicaid patients. Okay. So what we do is you have to realize a couple of things is one, the fastest way to grow any business is to sell more to your existing client base. The second fastest way to grow your business is to charge premium prices. Okay. Now, if you had, let's start with the last one first. If you had, Myrdalis, let's say, God forbid, you needed to have, say, open heart surgery. Okay. And you had to pay for it out of pocket. Would you, and if you had to get the best open heart surgery, let's say you had like 96% blockage, God forbid, and the stents didn't work. And so you had one shot to get it right. Would you worry about what the cost is?
Oh, absolutely not. Nobody does, right?
Yeah. Right. And same thing,
We
your
just,
husband,
we
God,
just make
right,
it happen.
right. If your husband, God forbid, I'm not trying to put anything on him, right, or a child, and you didn't have insurance, you would figure out a way to pay for it, right? Because you get one shot. Well, that's the way your patient feels. I'm going to use me as an example. I am an avid golfer. I've been playing golf for 49 years. I'm a former PGA golf professional. I never played on tour. I was never that good. I love to play. And I have an ongoing issue with my left elbow, where I have some pretty dramatic tendonitis. And yesterday, while playing in the opening day golf tournament, I just had a procedure done about 6 months ago. I've been slowly working my way back, going through rehab, doing all of this stuff. And the procedure was PRP. It was regenerative. Yesterday, playing an opening day on the 8th hole, I re-injured it. Now I'm out for another 6 weeks. Okay. Now, luckily, I was already on the phone texting my doctors on the 12th hole. I've got an appointment set up on Thursday to kind of, get it all squared away. But like, you'll pay anything to fix it. Okay. So you have to understand that your patient has something that is immensely painful to them because it's not allowing them to do the thing that they love to do. And they will pay money to fix it. Okay. So you need to charge premium prices for that. Okay. If you had two, let's go back to this heart surgery thing. Let's say you had two doctors. Both are recommending the same protocol, not the same protocol, but essentially the same protocol. One of them is talking about, the one over here is talking about the science of stuff and the machine and all these, and his or her technical skill. Okay. And he or she is the cheapest. They're going to charge you $10,000 for your open heart surgery. And they're like, yeah, we can do this really inexpensively. And, you have to spend all this money because I have the best training and I have the best machine and blah, 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 blah. And I have the most letters after my name. Or you have this doctor over here who is going to charge 10X. And what this doctor talks about is you're going to be able to run. You're going to be able to see your grandchildren. You're going to be able to watch your daughter walk down the alley or the aisle when they get married. You're going to be able to be in their life, hopefully most likely for the next 25 and 30 years. And this doctor over here on the right-hand side doesn't talk about the machine, their training, any of that. Which one are you going to go with? Okay. Most people, and you want to answer this, Myrdalis, you're more than welcome to. Which one are you going to go with? You're going to go with the one that talks about the machine. You're going to go with the one that talks about like a better future that you're going to have.
I think everybody will choose the transformation for their lives, right?
Right. Right. So you are not selling a procedure. You are not selling a machine. You are selling a transformation, and people will pay big money. And the other thing that people don't realize is that price tells the prospect something to them subconsciously about your belief system and how good you are. Okay. Right.
Yeah. And that's something very difficult that, for physicians to sell that. And we can talk a little bit about how you do that in your office, right? Because there's a whole process of the people who you need in your office are going to be the most important people for doing this. But that's the thing, like you don't open with the price for people on the street. You open with the transformation from your website and then all the way that you're going to be building that visit to your patient coming through funnels and stuff like that you do. Nothing's about pricing. It's all about how they're going to live a better life.
Exactly. So one of my clients he's one of the leaders in regenerative medicine. His name is Dr. Don Buford. He's in Dallas, Texas. If you're in the regenerative space, you probably know who Don is. Don's been a client of mine for about 5 months. Don was charging $650 for a PRP injection. Now, Don's PRP, his kits cost him like $3 because he makes them himself. Don tests his PRP and he'll have over 8 billion platelets in his after his spin is done, where a lot of people have like 3 or 4 million. And he can usually fix somebody in one injection. Okay. And he's charging $650. And so we're doing our first call. So I call Don the OG, the original gangster of regenerative medicine. He's that good. Like the man has trained hundreds, if not thousands of doctors in regenerative, including you. Yeah. So, Donnie. Donnie's a BAMFer, right? Like he is the bomb. He's the nicest man in the world too. So we're on our first call. I'm like, so Don, what do you charge for a PRP injection? He goes, $650. And I go, how did you come up with that price? And he goes, well, it just kind of seemed reasonable. I go, what's reasonable? He goes, well, I kind of called around and I checked and I saw what other doctors were charging. And I figured that was just kind of right where to be. I said, so I want to make sure I understand this, Don. You are the absolute leader in the industry. You are the Dr. Andrews. You are the Frank Jobe of orthobiologics. Okay. Dr. Andrews is the guy who pioneered the Tommy John surgery, right? And ACL reconstruction. Or Frank Jobe did that. And anyway, Frank Jobe did the Tommy John surgery, and Dr. Andrews kind of has revolutionized ACL reconstructive surgery. So you are the absolute best in the industry, and you set your pricing based on a bunch of other broke dick doctors that don't know shit about business. And he started laughing. He goes, I never thought about it like that. I said, charge like you are the shit. Excuse my French, but this is what I said to him, right? Like, are you good at what you do? He goes, yeah, I'm really good at what I do. And Donnie's really humble. Like he does it in a much more humblistic way than I do it. So Don raised his price to like $1,500. And he goes, okay, I'll just do that. Or actually he raised it to 1,000. He goes, I'll just do that. His business doubled. Same number of patients, conversion rate of people didn't change. And now we have him at 2,000. Okay. And then he's getting ready to make the next step, which is creating what's called a signature solution. Okay. So this is how you charge more than your competitors. Is you are not selling a shot, you are selling a solution. And that's what we call it, the signature solution. So you want to create a package that, like I'll use regenerative as an example, that we're going to do 1 to 2 PRP shots, right? Depending on the severity of the injury and kind of the gap in between. Most of them are doing 2 because they'll do like one, it's 1 month or 6 months, or there's all this debate. Like I'm not going to get into the debate about the protocol, but generally you're doing like 2 of those. We do know that utilizing a laser or a shockwave therapy machine for 12 procedures in between the shots actually helps improve regrowth. We know, and healing. We know that doing IVs can dramatically improve healing. We know that fixing gut issues, inflammatory issues, some moderate work on that can fix these issues. We know that if we use BMAC with PRP, we know that we're going to be able to take care of our severe cases. You can also look at HRT, things like this. So there's a bunch of things. And what I want you to do is I want you to create a package that addresses the problem for the doctor from multiple different directions, or for the patient from multiple different directions. Okay. So you are not, don't ever, if you listen to this and you continue to sell saying, let's do 1 shot and see how it goes, I will personally fly to you. And I find out you're doing that after listening to this. I will personally fly to your town and I will stand in front of your office and wait for you to come out and smack you. Okay. Don't do that, because if you've ever had a PRP shot, it hurts. It hurts bad, right? I've had them in my knee, my penis, my scalp, my elbow. Like, okay?
You're a masochist.
Yeah. Well, I'm a patient zero. I like this stuff. So charge premium prices. My doctors charge, I have an orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Pietropoli. He charges anywhere between $7,500 to $25,000. And he gets it. I have an anti-aging doctor in your market, by the way, in Sarasota, Dr. Tracy Gappin, who charges $25,000. He's pushing $300,000 for this month, up from $150,000 when I started working with him. Okay. Like, put together packages. And when people say, do I have to do all of it? Let me ask, I'm going to go back to the cardiologist. If the cardiologist says you need quadruple bypass, do you go to the doc, do you go to the cardiologist and argue and say, well, can we do 1 and see how it goes? No, it would be malpractice, right? So no, they don't get to choose. Okay. You are a bleeping doctor. Act like it. Okay. People don't argue with doctors. Just tell them what the F to do. Be confident. Okay. This is what I do. There is no negotiation. Well, can I get a discount? No. Seriously.
What about friends and family? They come, oh, can I get a discount?
Friends and family are a different thing. You make that call on your own, right? Like, here's what I'll tell you. There are some family members that I will charge double to treat. So I don't like them. There are some friends of mine, like my college buddies that I was out with last night, that I told them, I said, look, one of them's got a hip issue. I'm like, dude, call me, let me set up an appointment. I'll cover the treatment for you. That's how much I know I can fix you. My doctors can fix you. Okay. He's one of my best friends for 35 years. He gets a hand on the coffin when I go. You know what I mean?
So you've had the physician do their package, right? They have 3 levels: the entry level, the level that's, most patients are going to probably go with, and then an exceptional ultimate level. Let's say that you do these 3 levels.
Yep.
Go through the exercise briefly of how they can bill, like charge for this package, the pricing.
Yep. So the pricing is generally, I want you to set it up as a good, better, best. Okay. For the most part, our packages for our clients will be $5,000, $7,500, and $10,000. Okay. Now here's the thing I want you to understand. If you want to do $100,000 a month, okay, and your average price, by the way, if you have 3 prices, 60% of the people are going to choose the middle price. Okay. And if you start with the highest price first, that number is almost guaranteed that they're going to choose the 60% of the people are going to choose the middle price. So we start with the high price first. Like, think about it. When you go buy a car, what do? They show you the G-Wagon. You're there to buy an E-Class and they go, hey, let's take a look at the G-Wagon. That's $125,000. Oh, here's your cheap $85,000 car. Great. Y'all take it. Right. So you always start with the most expensive price first. Okay. You're in the better, best, and then good. And if you want to do $100,000 a month, all you need, by the way, is if your average price is $7,500, all you need is, what is that? 14 patients a month. And for 14 patients a month, you need like 3 staff members. You need a front desk person, you need a med tech, and you need like, I don't know, one other person, maybe. Okay, that's it. All right. So your profit margins net after paying yourself $150,000 a year, just on that model right there, you'll pay yourself $150,000 a year. You'll make 20% profit margin at the end of the day. Okay. And it's very, very simple. You need, again, what do we say? George Costanza. In the insurance practice business, it's how many patients can I see? How many patients can I see? How many patients can I see? Right. And our business model is how few patients can I see? How few patients can I see? How few patients can I see? I have clients of mine that do $150,000 a month, and they literally see patients 8 days a month and procedures. I have another client of mine who she doesn't want me to use her name. She was in the office 2 days this month seeing patients. She did well I got to figure out the right. Let me put it to you this way. It was significantly north of $250,000. And I don't have one client like that. I have like 7 or 8 of them. Okay. So they have built a team around them that handles everything. And that's one of the ways that you exit your business and this client is, one of my clients, they're both females. One of them is they both have 2 locations. They both do in excess of $250,000 a month at a bare minimum. One of them spends a large portion of her time at her 2,000-acre farm in the western part of Virginia, and the other significant amount of her time on their significantly sized yacht, going down to the Bahamas. Okay, the other one is always on a plane traveling somewhere, skiing, visiting family overseas, whatever. Okay,
these and their 2 clients continues. Do they have other practitioners in their clinic, or
yes, absolutely, mid-levels? You bet it. They have mid-levels. They have most people are utilizing mid-levels, NPs or PAs, and they handle all of the work. So they don't have other doctors on staff, right? And they have teams of like literally 7 and 8 people, and they're banging it out. Okay, so
awesome.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, these transformations took like 6 months. I'm telling you, like once you grasp onto this and you eliminate that limiting belief, like Myrdalis, you and I have talked about limiting belief a lot, right? Like that's the number one thing that holds people back. So when you just start to see yourself, like when you went to med school, let me ask you this. At what age did you just know you were going to be a doctor? What age?
So early in my 20s. Yeah.
Yeah. 20s. Okay. So you're late to life in that one. Most people know at 13 or 14, right? Okay.
I didn't.
Okay. But when you started med school, did you see yourself failing?
No, you don't.
What did you see yourself? Did you see yourself succeeding? Was it a question?
No, it wasn't a question.
Yeah.
It's a given.
Yeah. It was not a question whatsoever about if you were going to fail, right? So you just did it. That's the same way you got to be about business. Okay.
Yeah. It's how
That's
to make it
just
easy, how it's going to work. Just make it work.
Yeah. Just make it work. Okay.
It's, I have one more question because we talked about pricing. We talked about, getting the clients. How about selling more to the existing patients that you have?
Yeah. So how you sell to your existing client base is you want to market to your existing client base. We do a process called the 5130. Okay. Now I don't have visuals to go over, but basically you send an email to your list 4 straight days in a row. And the offer is basically, we're looking for 5 patients that want to fix this one problem in the next 30 days. Okay. Now a lot of doctors they get stuck on when I just said, fix this one problem. Fix is air quotes. Okay. If you have a bad knee and you give me 50% improvement, that's a fix for me as the patient. Okay. Fix doesn't mean that I'm going to get you back to 0%. Okay. We have a process, and I'll give everybody an opportunity here to learn more about this process for free. So basically you send that email to your list and people will respond back, and you only make the details of that offer to those people who respond back. Okay. So you market to your existing list. I have clients of mine that have done over $500,000 in the last 6 months just selling to their existing client base. That's all they do. I have people that have lists as small of 1,000 names. I'll go back to Don Buford. Don Buford has a list of 3,000 names. He's already have 65 appointments booked from his list, just marketing to his list. And we're about 1/3 of the way through his list. 65 appointments booked. Okay. So he had to go out and hire a PA. Literally, he's just hired a PA. We're onboarding her here towards the end of the month. And yeah, so like this is the wrong thing you can do is to question this. Like who's the best patient that you have, Myrdalis? Like the ones that's come in and go, I trust you, just do your thing, right?
Yeah, that's it. They come, they're ready to work, and we work together, and they're so excited, and there's no question about payment. The only question is, how can we do this and even quicker? Yeah.
And they trust you, right? So this goes back to, in order to do this, I'm assuming your client base knows you, likes you, and trusts you. And when you have those 3 things, know, like, and trust, your customer will spend money with you without even thinking about it. Like my doctor is Dr. Mickey Barber. She is client number 1. She does extremely well. She has 2 locations. She's never in her office. If Mickey tells me to do something, I just do it. Right? I don't even ask what the price is. I'll get my credit card. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize it cost that. Okay, cool. So
that's awesome. We are like, oh my goodness, you have given us so much. Like you've given us like amazing knowledge. I know, have we covered your list? I know that you had a list of things that you wanted to cover. It's like so much. We talked about beachhead. We talk about 3 ways of even from starting to when you're starting. I would love to talk about how to convert your current practice. The process. It's just so much. But we have books that you have. We have a book. We have podcasts. We have challenges that are coming up. Can you tell people about those?
So the best way to learn more about what we do is check out our podcast. It's for free. And that is the Practice Profit System. Okay, the Practice Profit System. At the time of this recording, our entire company is going through a rebranding, but go to the Practice Profit System. When you go through that, you'll be notified in the interviews, you'll be notified of where you can buy our book. Okay. And the best place to start is the Practice Profit System. We are in the process of relaunching the podcast at the time of this recording so that we're going to have more fresh content, but there's 91 episodes there. So there's plenty to keep you busy over the next couple of weeks. I would start there. Okay. The second thing that you can do is we have a book called The Anatomy of a 7-Figure Medical Practice. And you can get that at srpmedicalmarketing.com/book. That's srpmedicalmarketing.com/book. If you don't remember that domain, that's fine. It's in the podcast, which is why I direct people to the podcast. And we're on Spotify. We're on iHeartMedia. We're on iTunes. Just type in the Practice Profit System and you'll find plenty of links to get to it. Okay. And that's also our site, thepracticeprofitsystem.com. You can access you can access that right there. And that's where I would start. Here's what I want is I'm not here to sell you a program. I'm not here to, we do challenges. You'll learn about the challenges in the podcast. We do all these things, but I'm not here to sell you anything. I want to earn your trust. Okay. I want you to go through our stuff. I want you to go through 10, 15, 20 episodes, listen to it, learn about just kind of the way we think about things. Just pick the 10 that you like. Or you can have iTunes tell you which are the most popular, but just go through those and see if it resonates with you. If it does, there's offers in those podcasts that you can take the next step with us. And we'd love to engage in some kind of business relationship as we move forward.
This is great. I can't get enough. I'm almost done myself with all these podcasts, and I'm telling you guys, like, it's just so much value. You'll really learn a lot. And any final thoughts here? Anything, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
What
Look,
to say, like, so much.
All right. I'm going to kind of just distill this down. Remember, there's 3 ways to grow any business. I don't care what the business is. You get more new customers. The first thing, that's where everybody starts. That is the hardest thing to do. Okay. It's the most expensive, most difficult thing to do. Other 2 ways to grow your business is to sell more to your existing client base or increase the average transaction value. The third one is the easiest. What I want you to do is whatever you're charging, charge $500 more after listening to this. Don't think about it. Don't analyze it. Don't talk to your staff about it. Don't do any of that. Just raise your prices $500. Okay. I've done events at conferences and I'll tell people, raise your prices. If you doubt me, go raise your prices $500. And I've had people call me back and send me messages on LinkedIn like 3 days later going, oh my God, everybody still bought. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, now raise it again. So like, just, and if you have some limiting beliefs around that, then I want you to go get some Tony Robbins stuff that talks about limiting beliefs. That's what I would do. So.
Well, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for your knowledge. I know that, it's a lot to take for people who have never listened to this. And it's a lot to actually go and do homework on people who are ready to take those next steps. So thanks a lot for being here. Guys, I'm telling you, go and listen to the Practice Profit System podcast. It's really be giving you tons of value. So once again, thanks, Matthew, for being here today.
You got it. Hey, thanks for inviting me. I really enjoyed it. Thanks, Myrdalis.
Yeah, thanks. And that was it for today. I hope that you had as much fun as we did with Matthew Gillogly. You can actually find him through the Practice Profit Systems podcast and also at thepracticeprofitsystem.com. I hope that you had tons of learning, tons of homework to do. Come and join us again and visit our website, maxallure.com, MAXALLURE, for more information on how you can learn more about entrepreneurship. Please share with your friends and family. Give us 5 stars, and I'll see you later. Thanks. Bye.
Please remember that Design is not providing specific financial, medical, or career advice. Our only intent is to stimulate your appetite for growth by sharing our experience and those of our speakers, coaches, and guests. Your personal growth and success will be unique to your circumstances and your hard work. We sincerely hope you enjoyed the show and look forward to seeing you next week.